I'm Dr. Jackie, mom of 3, board-certified pediatrician, founder of Dove Pediatrics, and your prayerful pediatrician. And it is summertime. If you didn't already know, if you can't feel the heat, you probably can hear the difference in your house, right? These kids have already done all the fun things. They have already done all the crafts, played outside, swam, probably gone to the beach. And we have reached the point of summer where we're starting to run out of activities. And this is exactly the point of summer that I want to come and talk to you today about the use of screen time. Because I don't know about your house, but in my house, it is a question that is asked of us every single day. Can we watch TV? Can we go on the tablet? Can I look at your phone? Can I look at something on YouTube? And we try very, very hard to limit it, but at the same time, I can tell you right now that we have been a little bit more lenient than I would like to be with screen time in our house. So I'm coming as a parent, but also as the pediatrician here to try to help rein us in and give us some boundaries around screen time. And also talk for just a minute on what screen time does to the developing mind. And here's the thing, it also does this to our already developed minds as adults, but our children's growing minds are so much more vulnerable. They are still making connections. Their nerves are still forming the pathways of rewards and emotional connections. And this is a very formative time for them. Screen time is, first of all, a substitute for your attention. Your child is connected to you and is meant to have one-on-one connection with you, interactive connection. And setting them in front of a screen, while yes, it can be helpful to get something done, it is now substituting for your relationship. By allowing screen time, we are inserting something else into the relationship between us and our children. It can seem benign enough that you need to be able to distract your child, sometimes for a doctor visit, I understand, sometimes to get something else done, or just to buy yourself a couple moments where you know your child is safe and not going to go do something to hurt themselves. But we have to recognize what it is actually doing. It is inserting itself in between that direct connection between parent and child. And that can be a dangerous interruption. There are some programs that you might see as educational. For example, a popular one out there I know is Miss Rachel, and children love it, and she is teaching things, it is educational, but what it is not is interactive. She may say something, but it's one directional. The child doesn't get to respond and then have her respond back to them. Okay, nothing can take the place of sitting down with your child, opening a book, and even if you don't read the words on the page as the story progresses along, even an infant, as early as 2 months, it has been shown that reading to them significantly impacts their language development and their social development. They might not be old enough to follow the story, but you can interact with them, show them, oh, there's baby's nose in the book. Where's your nose? Where's mama's nose? And spending that interactive time with them. As they get older, they can start to actually respond to you. Show me your nose, and you see them touch their nose. Show me mama's nose, and they touch your nose. They can't touch the person on the screen's nose. Even if they do, it's a flat screen. It's not a human interaction from human to human. Nothing takes the place of that, and nothing should take the place of that between you and your child. Secondly, it stifles creativity. It gives them a distraction. It gives them something to watch so that their mind can be entertained passively. And what happens is they don't have to come up with something to do and allow that creativity to blossom, those inventions to start coming to mind, those crafts to start just flowing from the inside. God has placed creativity at the center of every human. How do I know that? Because He has created mankind in His own image. And God is the creator. Just look at all the different species of animals and plants and all of the different fish and birds and everything that we see in our world. He has no lack of creativity. And that same creativity is inside the heart and mind of your child. And when we put something passively in front of them, guess what? They don't need to use that creativity anymore. Those creative juices just stop flowing because they are being entertained. And even more concerning when I think about it on a little bit of a deeper level is that stifling the creativity that God has placed in them can also distract them from learning the thing that He needs them to learn, from trying the thing that He needs them to try, and ultimately from accomplishing the purpose that He has created them to accomplish. Thirdly, screen time fosters inattentiveness. There are shows that purposefully change frames at exactly the correct second interval to interrupt your attention span and cause you to purposefully have a short attention span. There are shows created on purpose to maintain a child's attention by switching the frame and creating a child that cannot sit still, cannot stay attached to that television unless that frame changes every, I think it's 6 seconds. So part of the attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder or attention deficit disorder that we see as pediatricians, I would argue that a large part of it is due to the increased use of screen time in the last 30 or 40 years. We are creating children that cannot sit still unless they are entertained by a screen that changes frames frequently. For you parents of toddlers, CoComelon is that show that is developed on purpose to cause a lack of attention in your child. I want you to think about that when you choose what programs are okay for your child to watch. And lastly, number 4, on that same train of thought, screen time creates addiction. Not only those shows that switch frames purposefully to keep them engaged and to keep their attention and creating an inattentiveness inside of your child, but also social media, tablets, TikTok, YouTube, they all use algorithms to keep you on that app. And I'm sure as adults, if you've spent any amount of time on social media, you see that. You can recognize you're looking at one thing, it shows you another thing that is somewhat related, and you get sucked in before you know it. You realize, oh my goodness, it's been how long that I've been sitting here just watching whatever the next thing is that pops up. And every single time you or your child see something that is either funny or it's happy or you relate to it, there is a burst of dopamine released in the brain that is a happy hormone that creates a bond between you and that item. It might as well be a drug, because as your child is flipping through, if they're on a screen using social media, even YouTube on the television, we do use YouTube for a few shows, for example, to see how to draw something or how to do a craft. But if you look at YouTube, you can see the next few videos that they recommend for you. So even YouTube has that algorithm to keep you on that platform and creates an addiction. And have you ever seen your child after taking the screen away? Right, because now you've interrupted that dopamine high. You have taken away the happy hormone. And in our house, I can attest to this, that when we turn off the screen, behavior declines immediately. And I guarantee you see it in your house too. There is withdrawal from screens because it is creating an addiction in your child. It might as well be a drug. If it was labeled as such, I don't think any of us would let our children even near it if the screen was labeled with what it actually does in your child's brain. Now, this might sound really crazy and way off the deep end to some of you, but the Bible talks about a very real enemy. It's the enemy of our soul. It's the enemy of God. It is Satan. And he is out. Jesus tells us the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Destroy what? We are God's creation. Your child is God's creation. If the enemy is coming to steal, kill, and destroy, he's coming to destroy what God has created. And that includes the purpose that is inside of your child, that is inherent to them from God's creation of your child. If the enemy can distract them, can keep them from learning the skill, or keep them from inventing the thing that they are meant to do, or to keep them from getting excited about something that they are meant to do, or even keep them depressed or anxious because of what they see on a tablet or on social media, then guess what? He doesn't have to work very hard at all. All he has done is stop that purpose before it ever started by distracting and taking away the very creativity that God placed inside your child. I know that when your child just simply wants to watch a cartoon or watch an episode of a show or even watch somebody else doing a craft on YouTube, for example, it might not sound that serious. And you might say, yeah, Dr. Jacki, you're being a little bit serious about this. But trust me, for the parent who has a goal of training their children to be Christ followers and stand up against darkness in their generation and be the light and the salt of the earth that God called them to be, it is that serious. Athletes, soldiers, they undergo intensive training. They don't have time for distractions. And remember, you are training your child in the way that they should go. Your child doesn't have time for those distractions either. So what are we to do? How can we protect our kids? What can we do? We know that they're growing up in this age where they need to use technology or they're going to be left in the dust. How can we allow appropriate use of it while still maintaining healthy boundaries? Number one, designate it for learning purposes. You don't get to use a screen unless you are learning something. If you need to research for a project, if you want to watch a show, let it be an educational show about something, not just ABCs and 1, 2, 3, but for example, is it a nature show where they can learn about a certain animal or climate or learn about another country? Search it for yourself as a parent and identify what shows are acceptable to you for them to use to learn. And for your older kids, and I mean older, just a child that can talk. It doesn't have to be a school-age child, but a 3 or a 4-year-old that might be able to retain information, require them to tell you something that they have learned from that program. So even if they do get that one-way learning and education, they still have that one-on-one interaction with you after the fact to solidify that information and bring them back to that connection with you. Number 2, set limits. Set limits and please stick to them. Do not be afraid to stick to them. Yes, it is going to be tantrums. Yes, it is going to be really hard when you first try to set boundaries if those boundaries have not been there before. But remember, your child is in training and you have a job to do, and it is going to be hard, but you are doing what is best for your child. Your boundary may be 1 episode of something, or 20 minutes, or 30 minutes, or it might be a certain time of day. I never want screen use before the end of the afternoon in our house because I want my kids to get outside. I want them to play. I want them to burn energy. I want them to be creative. I want them to do a craft. I want them to do their chores all before they are allowed to decompress for just a little while. But there's always a limit, and you have to set the limit before you allow the screen time. Because inevitably, at the end of that that 20 minutes or that 1 episode, the question is going to come. Can I have 1 more? Can we have 5 more minutes? Can I just have till the next commercial? It's always going to come. So that limit has to be there from the very beginning, and repeat it 20 times if you have to. Okay, you get 20 minutes. At the end of the 20 minutes, what is going to happen? We're going to turn off the TV. Okay, at the end of 20 minutes, we are turning off the TV. Understood? Understood. Okay, that repetition just reminds them you are allowing a temporary use, but there is a finite end. Number 3, use it as a reward. If they do finish their chores, if they do complete a craft, if they do have a respectful day where there's no whining and there's no arguing, use it as a potential reward. And 4th, always, 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 either watch it with them and monitor what they're watching, or make sure that you have already watched what you are going to allow. Make sure that parental controls are on. Make sure that you are restricting and checking which apps they can use and which ones they cannot, because there are plenty of stories out there of parents who either the tablet or the YouTube channel on the TV or the phone, you have parental controls on, and even with that, certain apps will still allow things that you do not want your child to see to sneak through and under the radar. Before you know it, something pops up, it's inappropriate, and the damage has already been done. So please, please, please make sure you know what your children are watching. Stick around. Don't just give them that screen and walk away. Know what they're watching and know that you are comfortable with it. Especially on a computer screen. For example, if you have older children that need to do research or need to do homework on a laptop, make sure that you are around that area when they're using it. You have no idea what can potentially come through on a laptop. Even if it is a school laptop, You want to make sure that those controls are in place and they can only access what is needed to be able to complete that assignment. Again, they have to learn how to use this technology, but how can we do it in a way that does not allow them to become addicted to it, that teaches them that this is something that they need boundaries on, teaching them that this is not actually good for your body, this is not good for your brain. It is better for your body to run around and move and keep the blood flowing and do things that you were created to do, not sit there and be distracted and not fulfill the purpose that God created you to do. I pray that this blesses you. I know it's harsh. It is hard. I will say, I'll steal this phrase from my pastor. If you can't say amen, you can say ouch. And there's a part of me that I'm talking to myself here too, because we've got to rein it in, because remember, we are training these little warriors. And if we are serious about that, then we need to be serious about this too. No time for distractions from the enemy. So remember, please like, and share. This needs to be widespread. Screens, technology, all of this is frankly getting out of control, and we need to know how to protect our kids. So share it with grandparents, share it with aunts, uncles, share it with the people that don't even have kids yet, but they need to keep it in mind for when they do. And I will see you next time as we continue building a community of parents on a mission to raise a healthy and faithful next generation. See you next time.